question is what does Paul mean when he says all Israel shall be saved? Now, there are going to be many commentators, including N.T. Wright, by the way. He takes the stance, as does a lot of scholars, that Paul is actually quoting the Mishnah. And this would be in Sanhedrin 10:1. The Mishnah says, all Israel has a share in the world to come, as it reads, and then they quote Isaiah 60:21. And thy people, they will all be righteous, forever shall they possess the land, the sprout of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may glorify myself. And then they go on and they lay out who does not have a share in Israel. I actually disagree with Dr. Wright on this. I think that this mission is quite late. And I think that they're responding to Paul. I don't think it's the other way around. I think that basically they say they're looking at Paul and what he says in Romans, and basically his exposition of Isaiah, because throughout Romans 9 through 11, and stop me at any point here, by the way, Rob. Okay. Throughout his exposition from 9 to 11, he continually quotes from the Septuagint of Isaiah. So he's basically kind of using Isaiah as his platform to speak about all these various things, the grafting into the olive tree of the Gentiles into the olive tree. And so I think what is happening with the Mishnah is that the rabbis are now responding to the Christians who have risen up and are using Paul to say that the Gentiles are grafted into the olive branch of Israel. And so the rabbis come back and they give their response of, no, essentially, I'm reading into the text, obviously, but basically the way that I see the Mishnah here is that they're saying, no, Paul's wrong. That's not how it is. This is how it really is. And then they lay out who has a share in Israel and who does not. So that's how I see the Mishnah. So if I ever end up writing something, actually, there's so much that can be said about this passage here that it might almost be worth writing my thesis on. In a way, they are supporting, maybe ironically, in the Mishnah that you quote in Sanhedrin, is that not all Israel is Israel. In other words, if the rabbis are saying, okay, all Israel has a share in the world to come, and then quotes the Isaiah passage, then says, except, and then has a long list of Israelites and others that don't fit. What are they trying to say? Sure. They're saying, well, not all Israel is Israel. And by the first Israel, now I'm quoting Romans 9:6 there. Not the rabbis aren't quoting that, but are they not kind of saying that? By saying all Israel has a place in the world to come. Yeah. And here's the Isaiah passage that they're the planting of the Lord for his glory. But then to proceed to give this list, they're saying there's a difference between Israel in the world to come, which is eschatological Israel, versus history of the Tanakh and history of the rabbis of the people they exclude. Right? Okay. Yes, and actually, you hit another point, is that I think the rabbis are basically responding to Romans essentially 9 through 11. They're not just the arguments of the arguments, whether or not they've read Romans or not isn't we don't know. But I think that they did though, because the rabbis had a very good. We had debates in the second and third century between the Christians and the rabbis. Okay, and the rabbis were very good at knowing how to respond to the theology of the Christians. How did they do that? How did they know how to respond to the theology? Well, I think it's because they too were having to deal with some of these passages.